Hey there, what's up? I'm John with 7C Studio, and today we're going to be making some real simple models in Blender for the game Unturned, which is a low poly, flat shaded game, and it's real easy to make models for it and mod the game that way. So we're going to be making a med kit today, which is essentially just a rectangle with a handle on it. And so it's going to be real simple to jump in as a true beginner to Blender and follow along with this tutorial. And this is less so a how to make a model tutorial and more so just trying to get you familiar with Blender and how you can make decent low poly models for the game. So the first thing we're going to do, and I guess I could familiarize you with some of the controls, but you're really going to have to just play around, look up the controls. There's a couple of good infographics that are the key map, and you're going to be able to see some of the more simple keybinds out there, like S for scale, G for grab. It's actually translate, but I call it grab because, I mean, it's G. R is rotate, E is extrude, things like that. And like how to move the screen, right? So shift and click middle mouse moves the screen or translates the screen. Just middle mouse rotates the screen. You can zoom with the scroll wheel, things like that. You're really going to have to just play around and figure that stuff out because it's going to take too long to go through all the extreme basics. But I'm going to tell you all the keys that I'm pressing, and down in the bottom you'll be able to see most of them here. Like if I hit G, it will show you that I hit G, how many times I hit G, etc. RX, it'll show you that. So yeah, anyways, the first thing we're going to do is hit A to select all. Then we're just going to hit delete, and we're going to delete those things. Then we're going to shift A, which is the add menu, and we can add in primitives from this panel. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add in a plane. We're going to hit 7 on the numpad, and it's going to orient us in top orthographic. You can see up here where positive Y is up and positive X is to the right, and positive Z would be towards us, negative Z away from us. So with that understanding, what we're going to do is make that rectangle. So we're going to do S for scale, X for the X axis, 1.5, and then enter. And that's going to give us a nice little rectangle shape. And the next thing we can do from here is hit tab to go into edit mode, hit E for extrude, and we're just going to bring that up into a rectangular shape. Okay? And if you bring it up too far and you're like, oh, well, I messed up, all you have to do is hit G to grab that, Z to lock to the Z axis, and you can bring it back down or up or whatever you'd like. So we're just going to make like a rectangle like this. We're going to come to the positive Y side, or when we're in the top orthographic, the top here, and we're going to go to face select mode at the top here, so we can select this face. And we're going to hit Shift and D, which is duplicate. And we're going to be able to lock that to the Y axis and bring it out some. This is going to be our handle. And once you have that there, hit P and separate that selection. It's just going to make it easier on us. Then hit tab to go to object mode and select your handle. Hit tab to go into edit mode for this object. And we're going to scale this down. So we're going to hit S for scale, Z for the Z axis, bring it in. Then for the X, S, X, bring it in. And that should be good. And then we're going to add loop cuts. And loop cuts give us more vertices. If I go to vertex select mode, you can see that it gives us more vertices to work with. Okay, and if you do anything incorrectly and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that, undo is Control Z, redo is Control Shift Z. Okay, so what you're going to do is add 2 loop cuts. So Control R and then just scroll up or type 2 and click to enter that, and then right click so they snap to the default middle align position. Next, we're going to scale these along the X. So SX, and we're just going to bring them out about like that. Okay, it doesn't have to be too exact. Go to face select mode, A to select all, hit E to extrude, and we're going to make that handle shape, okay? And I want these to, this shape here to be a square. Okay, I don't want it to be a rectangle. So we're going to do about like that. That is square enough for me. Then we're going to select these faces here, hit E and extrude those out. But before we connect it, what we're going to do is hit X. Oh, actually, we can just hit, well, let's see. Yeah, just hit delete, and we're going to delete those faces, okay? I'm so used to, when I'm deleting something, hitting X and it bringing up the delete menu. I never use delete, but I figured it'd be easier to tell you guys to use the delete key. But anyways, from here, go to edge select mode at the top, and we can alt click an edge of this loop here, and it's going to select the entire loop, okay? And then alt shift to make another selection around that loop. And we're going to bring this, so G, Y, and we're going to just connect that to the suitcase. Okay? And there's our handle, and it's already looking pretty good. But I want this briefcase to be a little bit wider, but you can see if I do that, it's not center aligned because the origin, this little orange dot that's showing up in the cursor here, you can see it there. That little dot is the origin, and that basically, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's the origin of the model. And so when I'm scaling along the Z, since it's originating from that point, it's going to scale it to and away from that point. So we can, I believe it's F3 by default is the search menu, mine is space, but pull up your search menu and type align to, well, actually, origin to, my bad. Yeah, so origin to geometry, and that's going to center it. So now when I hit SZ, it's going to scale it from the center. We're going to make this just a little bit wider, okay, like that. And when you do that in object mode and not edit mode, what you have to do is Control A to open the apply menu. So Shift A is add, but Control A is apply. And just apply that scale. And that's so when we add, I'll show you if I don't do that, right? And I add, let's say, a bevel, okay? You can see how it's this side here, this space is bigger than this space. But if I didn't have that bevel and I Control A applied the scale first, right, and then I added a bevel, you can see that they're even. Okay, it's just telling the model what scale it truly is, because it doesn't actually know that it's 1, 1, 1 if you manipulate it in object mode. And we're going to do the same thing to the handle. Control A, apply scale. And a lot of this is probably not going to make much sense to you as I'm explaining it. And you're like, well, you know, that's great and all, but what does that mean? Don't worry about it too much, okay? This is quite possibly your first video, maybe your first couple of videos you stumbled upon this one. You're just not going to get it until you have a little bit of repetition, okay? Until you've made a couple of things and played around, and maybe something will click, or down the road you're going to hear it again in another video, and you're going to be like, oh, okay, I get it now. And I will in other videos be going into more depth about everything. I have a guide that's about to come out that's a PDF that shows all of the operations, how they work, why they work, etc., and ways you can play around with them and things you can do with them. I have that coming out soon, so look forward to that. But in the meantime, with this handle, what we're going to do, okay, so we have the bevel on the actual pouch. We're going to add a bevel here just so I can show you what's going to happen. You can see, even though I've applied that scale, it looks a little wonky, a little weird. And so with the amount here, this is going to determine how much bevel influence there is on the model's edges, right? Okay, so this is way too much. So 0.0075, still too much. So we're going to do 0.005, too little, 0.05. Okay. And you can see that we have a triangle here, and this is just ugly. Okay, it looks terrible. If I were to smooth this, okay, it's not even going to do anything. So if I pump this up to a degree of 45, you can see it's just ugly. It looks bad, okay? This is not what we want. Well, we can sort of fix that by coming down to geometry and changing the outer meter to arc, and you can see that it's now completely fixed that problem for us, okay? And I can show you patch as well. Patch is just going to make a n-gon here, I believe. So if I were to apply this, yeah, it makes an n-gon. You don't want that. So we are going to geometry outer meter arc. But now the problem with that is when I shade auto smooth this and I come down here and I'm like, okay, 45 degree smoothing, ooh, looks terrible. 60 degree, even worse, right? Looks like Play-Doh. So we're not going to do either, actually. Actually, I'm going to leave this on 45. So what I'm doing here is here in the object data properties panel, or the green triangle here, we have normals, open normals, and there's a angle limiter for the auto smooth, okay? So when you right click and you shade auto smooth, there's shade smooth and there's shade auto smooth. You want shade auto smooth for this, okay? And this angle limiter set to 45. But we don't want a bevel, so I'm going to remove that. What we actually want, okay, is to go into edit mode on this handle and select these, shift click and select these two edges here, and then the two on the inside, okay, shift clicking those. Control B to manually bevel. We're going to manually bevel those like so, okay, and that looks good to me. So we're going to run with that. And I'm going to bring this in because I think the handle's a little too big. Okay. Now with this box here, I like what's going on, so I'm going to shade auto smooth it. And I'm going to set this to 45. Okay. And I'm going to come to the bevel and I'm going to play around with it a little bit until I get what I want. And I like that, but let's try 0.25. And let's add a second bevel. Do I like that? There's a sweet spot here. Let's hit it. 0.37. That looks pretty good to me right there. Okay, so with this, when we go to material preview, you can see it's just white. It looks like garbage. There's nothing really going on, and you can't tell this is a med kit. I'm going to show you how to make the texture in Blender. It's pretty easy. Shift A, add a plane, bring it over. Well, don't just bring it over, so Control Z, undo that. GX5, enter. That way we know where it is. When we hit N, we can see that it's 5 over on the X positively. Okay, we're going to Shift A, and we're going to add a camera. We're going to well, you can see the angle's off. So when you do this, hit 7 on the numpad, then Shift A, add the camera, and that's going to align it vertically. GZ5, GX5. That's going to put the camera over the plane. So when I hit 0 on the numpad, you can see we're looking over the plane. Go to the camera data property, select perspective and choose orthographic. Set this to, I believe it's 2. Set it to 2. And then go to the render properties. Well, actually, go to output, and this 1920. Copy paste it here so we have a square texture. Textures need to be square. I'm going to make the plane a little bit bigger than the camera, just so it's a, you know, got a little bit of bleed there. Now with this plane, go into edit mode, tab to edit mode, Control R. Let's add some loop cuts. So we're going to add 2 and 2 going horizontal and vertical. And then we're going to make our cross in the corner down here. So I'm going to add 3 and 3. And let's see. That's perfect. And then up here, I'm going to add 1 and 1. And then I'm going to go to face select mode. I'm going to come down here to the material properties tab, and I'm going to hit, I'm going to select our material. I'm going to hit the plus, I'm going to hit new, I'm going to hit the plus, and I'm going to hit new. I'm going to name 1 red, 1 white, and I'm going to name 1 gray. So for the red, we're just going to choose a base color that is red. For the white, we're going to keep it white but not so bright. And for the gray, we're going to choose a dark gray. Okay, and so now what we want to do is select our faces to make a cross. So we're going to select these, and to do that, the easiest way, you can either click each one, or you can hit C to go to cursor select and just click and drag, and you've got a cursor that selects everything you drag over. Just quickly, however you want to do it. Select these pieces so we can get that cross. Go click white, click assign, and if you hit Z, you can go to material preview and see that we have a cross on there now. Now I want to select up here, and I want to assign gray to that tile right there. And this is our texture. This is literally all it is. Okay, and so from here, you want to go to the render properties tab, or go to the world settings here, the world properties. We're going to make, we're going to hit Z and go to rendered view. And if you're in EV like I am, just bring the camera up, not too bright, but pretty light. Now go to the render properties tab, scroll all the way down to color management, and if you're on AGX, if you're in 4.0, you should be on AGX, I believe. Go to standard. That's going to give us a more true color. Okay, and that red's a little too vibrant, so what I'm going to do is drop the brightness down a little bit, like so. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is choose the camera up here in the outline. Okay, and I'm gonna make sure everything's good here. It is. Go to output. We don't need 1920, okay? We're gonna do 256 by 256. We don't need a high resolution image, so we're gonna render that real quick. There it is. Image, I'm gonna save this as medkit. Okay, gonna exit out of that. Now when I choose our mesh over here, and I'm just going to select both things. First the handle, then the medkit, Control J to join them, right? And you can see that messed up our bevel. So Control Z. What you have to do is check your modifiers and Control A, apply those modifiers before then clicking the handle, the bag, Control J. Now the modifiers aren't going to mess up because they're applied. From there, I'm going to hit tab to edit mode. A to select all, U, smart, smart UV project will do that. Give it a 0.02 island margin, and then hit OK. Now, if we come to the bottom and the cursor turns to a plus, we can open a new window, click and drag. I'm going to go to the shader editor. Hit N to close this panel over here. We're going to make a new material, okay, and we're going to call this medkit. So from here, we want to add a image texture, okay, or alternatively, if you have Node Wrangler enabled, what you could do is Control T and just add the whole setup, okay. But what we're going to do is add our image texture, and then we need a coordinate node, right? And then we're going to select UV into vector, That's all you got to do right there. But we have to open our image. So we're going to go find where we saved that. There it is. We're going to select it. And now I can go to Material Preview or Rendered View and see what's going on. And you can see it's pretty chaotic. It's pretty messed up. So we're going to open a new window. We're going to go to UV Editor. We're going to hit Tab to go into Edit Mode, and we're going to see what's going on. Hit A to select everything. Scale it down. Okay, we're just going to move it up into the corner for now, everything. And I know if you're watching this and you know how to texture, you're going to be like, no, don't do that, you know. But for this, trust me, it doesn't matter. Okay, select your two faces that you want the cross to appear on. Here they are. And in this UV panel here, we can select here, select this one. Just kind of align these as best as you can. It doesn't have to be too exact because, again, it's just unturned and it's a very simple model. So align those, select both, and then bring them down to your cross. Make sure we have this as even as possible. Do we? No. And it's important not to scale it, change the shape of it. You can change the size, but not the shape. So that's going to work for us. There we go. Looks good. Okay. And from there, if we zoom in, you can see it's got blurry edges. And that's all you have to do to fix that is here where it says linear, change that to closest, and it's going to fix that for you. Then, for the handle, we can choose a face of the handle and hit L to select linked. And now we can hit A and select all that and just drag that and scale it down into the gray. And now we have our handle on the bag. Okay. So now, if I want, I can close all these windows because we don't need them anymore. And then let's see. I'll tell you what. I'll go into solid view, choose matte cap, choose something random. We can choose texture, shadow, 0.225. I'm just going to show you a little trick here to make things look pretty cool. There we go. There you go. That is our bag and our med kit. It looks pretty dang good to me. Let's turn off this overlay here so we can kind of look at it. That's pretty painless, pretty simple, and you've got a really nice looking med kit. And that's pretty much it for me. That's all we're going to do in this video, but in the next one, we'll probably expand on this and make a couple things like maybe a medicine bottle or something so you can kind of work with circles and cylinders. And aside from that, yeah, that guide that I was talking about, that PDF that explains all the operations that's in this wrench, the modifiers, we're just going to go over like pretty much all of the generate modifiers, maybe a couple of deform or something. But for the most part, it's going to be the generate modifiers and what they do. And then, of course, other operations like loop cuts and insets and outsets, all the extrusion tools, what normals are, etc. That's all in the guide. I'll be posting that soon, hopefully. And aside from that, that's all I've got for you in this one. I mean, for what we did, this was kind of a long video, and I apologize, but it was a bit impromptu because I've been getting a lot of requests on how to kind of jump into Blender and make something. So I thought we'd make something that looks, really good that you could show off to your friends and be like, look, I made my first game asset or whatever. And you can build and expand off this, and of course watch other videos, and at least you've got a simple understanding of how it works. If you have any questions, feel free to join my Discord, which is linked in the description below, or you can just comment on the video, and I'll reply to you or whatever. But thanks for watching.